Nothing lasts forever that he is not ordained to last. The night may have been long, the valley may have been deep, but the sun is rising, and the voice of God is thundering over your life, saying, enough. The affliction has run its course. The pain has fulfilled its purpose. The tears have watered the soil, and now comes the harvest. You see, when God speaks, chains break. When God declares, time responds. Seasons shift. Doors open. Hearts heal. And today, I'm not here to ask your opinion. I'm not here to beg your belief. I'm here to deliver a word from the Most High. Your suffering has an expiration date, and that date is today, because what was sent to destroy you has only refined you. What was meant to break you has only revealed how unbreakable God made you. People may have abandoned you. Circumstances may have betrayed you. But the truth still stands. God has never left your side. He has seen every tear. He has counted every sleepless night. And he has heard every prayer you thought went unanswered. What you thought was silence was preparation. What you thought was delay was divine strategy. And now, God is stepping into your life to declare, the wilderness is over. This is not the end of your life. This is not your defeat. This is your moment of turning, a sacred pivot, divinely appointed. God is not watching from afar. He is leaning in. He is drawing near to lift the burden that has crushed your shoulders. He is reaching into the ashes of what was and breathing new fire into your future. He is not a God of random chaos. He is the master of seasons. And the season you're stepping into is not defined by what you lost, but by what you're about to gain. Let me tell you, your pain was not in vain. The waiting was not wasted. The isolation was not empty. Every second of your suffering was known to God, and He has stored every moment like seeds waiting for rain. And the rain is coming, the drought is over, the heavens are shifting. God is about to pour out what the enemy never saw coming, and it will overflow. Too long you've lived under the shadow of fear. Too long you've questioned your worth. Too long you've walked with a limp in your spirit, pretending to be fine while breaking inside. But no more. This is not the day of defeat. This is not a funeral. This is a resurrection. God is breathing life into what looked dead. He is calling out what was buried. He is resurrecting your faith, your strength, your hope. This is not the end of the road. This is the turning point. The breaking of chains, the lifting of burdens. The beginning of something so sacred that even the pain begins to make sense. God does not allow suffering without purpose. And He never declares the end without preparing a new beginning. You may not feel ready, you may still see the mess, but that's exactly how transformation begins. God doesn't wait until you have it all together. He steps into the ruins and rebuilds from the ground up. He doesn't need your perfection. He requires your surrender. He doesn't ask for your strength. He moves in your weakness. And when you finally come to the end of yourself, that's when you begin to see the power of God move. Not because you're powerful, but because He is. He's not impressed by your efforts. He's drawn by your dependence. And right now, if you can just open your heart and believe that God is speaking this word over your life, that this is the end of your tough time, then everything is about to shift. Not because of hype, not because of emotion, but because God does not lie. When God says it's over, it's over. When God closes a chapter, no man can reopen it. When God lifts you out, no force in hell can drag you back down. You've been through the fire, but you were not consumed. You walked through the flood, but you did not drown. And now, it is your time to walk into peace. The peace that surpasses understanding, the peace that doesn't make sense but settles your soul. The peace that says, I may not know what's coming, but I know who holds tomorrow. God does not change. He does not sleep. He does not forget. And He never fails. And if He has allowed you to come this far, it means He is not finished with you. There is still purpose in your bones. There is still fire in your soul. There is still a future that only God can write. You see, tough times don't mean God is absent. They mean God is preparing. And the harder the battle, the greater the breakthrough. You didn't go through all of this to come out empty. You didn't cry all those nights to remain in sorrow. God is not cruel. He is not distant. He is your refuge, your rock, your deliverer. And He's declaring over your life right now, you've suffered enough. The lessons have been learned. The strength has been forged. The faith has been purified. And now, the time of lifting is here. You will rise. You will recover. You will smile again, not because everything is perfect, but because God is faithful. And His faithfulness does not depend on your feelings. It depends on His promise. He promised never to leave you nor forsake you. He promised to be close to the brokenhearted. He promised to bind up your wounds. And if He promised it, He will perform it. Do not mistake the delay for denial. Do not confuse the silence for absence. God has been working behind the curtain, and now He is about to reveal what He's been preparing. Some of you lost relationships. Some of you lost jobs. Some of you lost peace. But God says you are not empty, you are ready. Ready for the next level. Ready for what's been hidden. Ready for what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. Because the tough time has been a training ground. And the warrior you've become was not built on the mountaintop. It was forged in the valley. And now that valley is behind you. You will look back and not even recognize the person you were. The pain made you wiser. The waiting made you stronger. The silence made you listen. And now God is saying, come forth, step into the light, step into healing, step into freedom. This is the hour. This is the moment. The tough time is over, not because you escaped it, but because you conquered it, and what tried to bury you will now testify of your survival. The same people who doubted you will witness your rising. The same devil that attacked you will flee at the sight of your peace. Because God has changed your atmosphere. He has shifted the climate, and nothing can stop what He has begun. You have endured not just a trial, but a divine proving ground. This wasn't just hardship, it was heaven's shaping. You didn't just go through difficulty, you went through the fire and came out refined like gold. And what you didn't see during those long, weary nights was how God was working silently like a master craftsman behind the scenes. He was removing what couldn't go with you into your next chapter. He was pruning so that you would bear greater fruit. He was stretching your faith so that it could hold the weight of the blessings that are now approaching. You felt loss, but God saw preparation. You felt delay, but God saw development. You felt forgotten, but God never took His eyes off of you, not for a second. If only you could see what He protected you from while you were weeping. If only you could understand the storms He never let reach your shore. His silence was not neglected, was restraint. Mercy held back what your heart wasn't ready to carry. Let this truth echo in the chambers of your soul. The tough time was never about punishment. It was about positioning. God was shifting the ground beneath your feet. He was closing doors not to hurt you, but to reroute you. He was removing people not to isolate you, but to insulate you from what could have destroyed you. This was a divine rearrangement, and now the process is complete. The tears watered the soil. The fasting broke the chains. The prayers tore through the heavens. And now the signal has been given. The trumpet in the Spirit has sounded. The cloud is moving. God is announcing an end to the oppression that lingered too long, to the discouragement that settled like dust, to the heaviness that clung to your chest every morning. It's lifting now, not by your might, not by your intellect, not by coincidence, but by the command of God Almighty. And hear this with fire in your soul. What's coming next is not a return to normal. It is not a recycled version of your past. What God is doing now will make sense of every unanswered question. It will silence every voice that mocked you. It will restore the years that were stolen, not just in pieces, but in overflow. God is not interested in small recovery. He is a God of complete restoration. He does not patch up the broken. He makes all things new. And when He declares the end of something, it is not a mere suggestion. It is final, absolute, and sealed in the heavens. This is your divine ship. The season of wandering is over. The season of questioning is behind you. The time of doubt is ending. Your inner storm is meeting the stillness of God's hand. Now is the moment to rise. Not in your strength, but in God's authority. Not with fear, but with fire. Stand not as a victim of your past, but as a testimony of what God can do with a surrendered soul. You were pressed, but not crushed. You were struck down, but not destroyed. And now you are rising with scars that speak louder than sermons. You are walking with a limp that reminds you of your wrestling with God, but also of your victory. You are moving forward, not because life got easier, but because God got louder. His voice is calling you out of hiding, out of doubt, out of weariness, and into purpose, into peace, into provision. There is a divine urgency in this hour. This is not the time to look back. This is not the moment to second guess. You cannot return to what God has already closed. You cannot reattach what God has severed. When He says it's over, that is your cue to move forward. Don't stay camped in the wilderness when the cloud has moved. Don't remain in the grave when God has called you forth. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was lonely. But yes, it is over. And what God is doing next requires your full trust. You must walk by faith now. Not by what you see, but by what God said. And He said the tough time is finished. Let that sink deep into your spirit. Let it become your declaration. Let it silence the voice of doubt that still lingers. When God delivers a word, it becomes the foundation of your next step. You don't need to understand how, just believe who. Who is speaking this over your life? The Creator of the universe. The one who hung the stars, carved the oceans, and knows every hair on your head. If He says your struggle is ending, then nothing, no enemy, no circumstance, no fear can undo that. It's already written in the eternal records of heaven. The shift has begun. And now, your only task is to walk in it, to step forward, to believe that healing is not only possible, but promised, to understand that what once held you down will now become your stepping stone. God is not a man that He should lie. He doesn't tease His children. He doesn't raise your hopes to let you fall. If He has brought you to this point, it's because He intends to bring you through. The finish line is in sight. And it is not just the end of a chapter, it is the start of a testimony. One that will echo through generations. One that will inspire others to believe. One that will make even your enemies marvel at the favor resting upon you. You will no longer be known by your struggle. You will be known by your survival. And more than that, you will be known by your surrender to God's process. That's where the power lies. Not in pretending to be strong, but in fully depending on God. Because when God carries you out of a storm, the world takes notice, and they will ask how you made it. And your answer will not be about strategy or luck or timing. It will be this: God said it was over. Do not let the enemy convince you that just because you feel weary, you are weak. That just because the pain left a scar, you are somehow disqualified. No, scars are evidence of survival. They are proof that you were hit but not taken out. They show that while others gave up, you kept moving. That while others walked away from their faith, you held on, even if it was with trembling hands. And now God is honoring that perseverance. He is not rewarding perfection, He is rewarding faith. And even faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains when it is placed in the hands of the Almighty. That mountain of sorrow that sat in your chest, it's coming down. That mountain of fear that stood before your future, it's crumbling. that mountain of shame that whispered, "You'll never rise again," God is casting it into the sea. God is not limited by what limited you. He is not intimidated by your past, nor is He discouraged by your weakness. In fact, that weakness is where His strength thrives. He chooses the broken, the battered, the overlooked, and the tired, because when He lifts them up, no one can say it was human strength that did it. It becomes a testimony that draws eyes back to the heavens and says, surely this was the hand of God, and now He is about to do something in your life that will leave no room for doubt. What He is about to release over your life will shut the mouth of every critic, every voice that questioned whether you'd make it out. He is preparing to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or imagine, or not in the next life, but here, now, in this present moment. You're not waiting for hope to find you anymore. Hope is standing at your door, knocking. Open your heart and let it in, because hope is not a fantasy, it's a force. And when God fills your life with it, everything changes. The colors return to your days. The heaviness lifts. You begin to dream again, breathe again, believe again. But this time, your belief is not naive. It is not easily shaken. It has been tested in fire. It has endured the crushing weight of sorrow. It has stood face to face with despair and declared God is still good. And that kind of faith is unstoppable. That kind of faith shakes the foundations of hell. That kind of faith is what pulls you out of the dark and into the dawn. Understand this, your tough time was not random. It was a sacred divine appointment in the school of endurance. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. Preparing you to carry more peace. Preparing you to speak with more authority. Preparing you to help others out of the very pit He pulled you from. He has entrusted you with experience, not just for yourself, but for someone else's deliverance. Because when you come out of this, and you won't just be free, you'll be equipped. You'll have eyes that can see suffering and hands ready to lift. You'll carry wisdom wrapped in compassion. And your very presence will be proof that tough times don't last, but people anchored in God do. There are seasons where God hides you, not to reject you, but to protect what He's building in you. He had to take you out of certain places, not because you didn't belong, but because the environment was contaminating your growth. He had to cut off relationships, not because you were unlovable, but because the attachments were draining your spirit. You didn't lose those things. You were preserved. He separated you so that He could sanctify you. Because what He's about to release in your life required space, and God will not pour new oil into old wineskins. This is a new day, a new measure, a new assignment, and the old can't go with you. So now you must make peace with what didn't work out, forgive what you cannot understand, release what you can no longer carry. The season has shifted. What you carry now is too heavy to drag old burdens with you. God is saying, let it go, lay it down. The battle is no longer yours, it's mine. That anxiety you've been wearing like armor, take it off. That self-doubt you've allowed to guide your decisions, tear it down. That guilt that keeps resurrecting your past, bury it for good. God is not calling the version of you that lived in survival mode. He's calling the version that is ready to live again. The one that knows peace can bloom even after pain. That knows restoration is not a fantasy, but a birthright in the presence of God. Listen closely now, not with your ears, but with your spirit. You can almost feel it. The wind is changing. The air is lighter. The weight on your shoulders is starting to lift. That is the sound of divine movement. That is the breath of heaven, signaling the end of your season of struggle. It won't always be like this. And for you right now, it no longer is like this. The line has been drawn in the spirit. The darkness has reached its limit. God has set the boundary and declared, no more. No more torment. No more confusion. No more spiritual drought. The dry place is being flooded. The barren land is about to bloom. The time of mourning is being exchanged for dancing. And where there was once lack, there will be overflow. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust this. God never begins a work He does not intend to finish. He never starts writing a story only to leave it half told. Your life is still under divine construction. And the beauty that is about to emerge will not come from worldly success, but from spiritual transformation. You are about to see why the pain had to be permitted. Why the delay was essential. Why the doors had to stay shut. Because had they opened too soon, they would have swallowed you. But now, you've been fortified. Now, you've been matured. Now, you're not just walking, you're walking in divine alignment. And that, my friend, is the power of God. He not only ends tough times, He transforms them. He doesn't just pull you out, He raises you up. He sets your feet on solid ground and puts a new song in your mouth. You thought it was over, but God was just getting started. And this next chapter is not about recovering what you lost, it's about discovering what you never even imagined. It's about stepping into the fullness of a life lived under the shadow of the Almighty. Not striving, but surrendering. Not worrying, but worshiping. Not fearing, but flourishing. There is a sacred stillness that follows every storm, and you are standing in it now. Not because the winds simply grew tired, but because God commanded them to cease. Do you understand what that means? It means the same power that governs galaxies just intervened in your life. The same force that keeps the sun burning and oceans restrained has stepped into your chaos and drawn the line. He said, this far and no further. The turmoil that has worn you thin, the weight that's made it hard to breathe it, is lifting now because God has spoken. And when God speaks, the universe must respond. When God declares the end of your tough time, every demonic scheme, every spiritual opposition, every delay that once stood firm must bow to His authority. This is not a fragile hope. This is not a dream you're trying to convince yourself to believe in. This is divine certainty. You are not here by coincidence. You are not hearing these words by accident. God ordained this moment before the foundation of the world because He knew you'd reach the edge. He knew you'd be moments from giving up. He knew your soul would cry silently in the night, how much longer, God? And right at that breaking point, He scheduled a divine intervention. You didn't find this message found you. It came like a trumpet in the wilderness, like water in a dry place, because God refuses to let you quit in the valley when He's prepared a mountain for you to climb. He is not just watching your struggle, He is stepping into it. And when He steps in, everything shifts, not just the obvious things. Even the unseen, the unnoticed, the inner wars no one else knows you fight, those are being silenced now, because the battle wasn't always outside of you. The toughest war has been inside your own soul. You've smiled when you were crumbling. You've prayed through clenched teeth. You've fought off fear with trembling hands. And you've kept going, not because you were fearless, but because something in you refused to surrender to the dark. And that something was the Spirit of God preserving you, carrying you, fighting battles in realms you couldn't even see. Now comes the reward. Not the kind that man can give, but the kind only God can deliver. Peace that does not depend on outcomes. Joy that doesn't need a reason. Strength that comes in the stillness. God is shifting you into supernatural provision. Where you labored before, now you'll see favor. Where doors were closed, now they'll swing open. Not because you earned it, but because you endured. Because when others took the easy path, you stayed in the fire and trusted God to bring you out. And He did not forget. He did not overlook you. He saw it all, the long nights, the silent tears, the quiet courage, and now He is honoring it with a holy release. What God is doing in your life now is not simply about comfort, it's about calling. He didn't let you survive just to rest. He let you endure so you could carry something sacred. The wisdom you gained in the wilderness will become healing for others. The insight you were given in isolation will become guidance for the broken. You are now a vessel of light, and that light wasn't lit by ease. It was forged in the dark. So don't diminish what you carry. Don't downplay the oil that flows from your life now. It is costly oil, pressed from pain, refined by time, and poured out by the hand of God Himself. And you need to know this: nothing that was stolen from you is gone for good. The God who ends tough times is the same God who restores what was lost. And when He restores, He does it with interest. He multiplies what you thought was gone forever. He gives beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, and praise for the spirit of heaviness. He doesn't just replace, He upgrades. And what's coming won't look like what you lost. It will be better, richer, deeper, because it will come with peace. And anything that cost you your peace is too expensive for this next chapter. Right now, the weight is lifting. The fog is clearing. You may not feel it all at once, but don't mistake slow healing for no healing. God often works in quiet, steady movements. Mountains don't shift with a bang, they shift with a groan. And your life is groaning into alignment. The ground beneath your feet is stabilizing. The noise of the past is fading, and the voice of God is growing clearer. He's not yelling, He's whispering. Because now that the storm has passed, He can speak in soft tones again. And what is He saying? Come forth, rise up, breathe again, smile again, dream again, walk boldly into the new season, because it has already begun. Let go of the guilt that says you don't deserve it. Let go of the shame that still tries to chain you to the past. Let go of the self-doubt that argues with your destiny. God has already judged you worthy not by your works, but by your endurance. He looked at your pain and saw perseverance. He saw faith. And faith moves mountains. Faith breaks chains. Faith opens heavens. You are not weak for feeling weary. You are mighty for not giving up. And now God is rewarding that tenacity with transformation, not just of your situation, but of your identity. You're not just someone who went through a storm. You are someone who emerged from it, clothed in strength, anointed by the struggle, and appointed for greater things. The pain you endured was not for nothing. The weight you carried wasn't wasted. God is too intentional to let your suffering be in vain. He is the master builder, and every brick of hardship was laid with precision. Every tear you cried was counted. Every night you spent staring at the ceiling, begging for answers, was heard. And now, He's answering not with explanations, but with restoration. Because when God answers, He doesn't always explain what He was doing. He shows you why it had to be done. You're about to walk into answers that don't come in words, but in wonders. You're about to live the reason for your season. The questions that once screamed in your soul will bow to the peace that comes when God shifts the atmosphere. You've been faithful over little, and now He is making you ruler over much, not to make you boastful, but to make you fruitful. Your survival wasn't for you alone. It was for the ones who will follow your footsteps, hoping someone can show them that the dark doesn't last forever. And you'll show them not with sermons, but with your scars. Not with theory, but with the authority of experience. You've become a living message of God's mercy. A walking example that the fire may rage, but it cannot consume what God has preserved. You are not marked by what tried to kill you. You are marked by the hand that kept you alive. There were moments you almost broke, times you questioned if you had the strength to make it another day. But look at you now. You're still standing, and not by your own doing. You're standing because God held you when you were too weak to hold yourself. And now He is not just holding you, He is lifting you, elevating you, pushing you into the purpose that was buried beneath all the chaos He's bringing it to the surface now, like treasure rising from the depths. And when God reveals purpose, no enemy can bury it again. No opposition can steal what He ordained. What you are walking into is not open for negotiation. It is sealed by divine decree. There is a spiritual momentum building in your favor. You may not feel it in the natural yet, but something is shifting in the unseen. God doesn't wait for perfect circumstances to move. He speaks things into existence long before you see the evidence. And today, He is speaking acceleration over your life. You've crawled long enough. You've wept long enough. Now comes the season of swift progress, divine alignment, unexpected blessings. The people who rejected you will watch as you rise. The doors that were once locked will open without explanation. Opportunities you didn't chase will chase you. Not because you manipulated anything, but because you trusted everything to God. This is the power of surrender. It invites the supernatural. It allows God to write the story without interruption. And when He writes with fire. He writes with favor. He writes in ways that man cannot erase. What He is about to release over your life won't require you to compete. You won't need to strive for it, beg for it, or prove yourself worthy. You just need to receive it. It's coming because He promised it. It's arriving because He ordained it. And it's yours because He called you by name when no one else saw your value. When others walked past you, when life overlooked you, when friends turned away, God was calling you His. And when God claims you, everything connected to you must come under His order. That means no more disorder in your spirit. No more confusion in your mind. No more chaos in your emotions. Peace is claiming your atmosphere. Clarity is flooding your path. Assurance is being planted where doubt once grew. And don't be surprised when things that once brought you fear no longer have power over you. God is rewiring your reaction. He's renewing your mind. The old triggers are losing their grip. The past is losing its sting. You won't be manipulated by memories anymore. You won't be tormented by what-ifs. The tough time no longer defines you. God has declared a new identity over you. Victorious, chosen, secure. Some people around you may not understand the shift. They knew you by your struggle. They identified you by your battles. But God is changing your name in the Spirit. No longer burdened, no longer forgotten, no longer broken. He is calling you redeemed, strengthened, restored. And when God names you, that name carries authority. It carries protection. It carries destiny. The labels that life stuck on you are falling off like dust. The words others spoke over you are being reversed in the courts of heaven. The curses are breaking. The cycles are ending. The generational patterns that tried to repeat themselves through you are being interrupted by the power of God's hand. This is your reset. A holy reset. God is not just delivering you, He is delivering your bloodline. He is cutting off what plagued your family for years. He is stopping the repetition of pain. You are the interruption. You are the shift. You are the proof that when God steps in, nothing stays the same. Your future will not mirror your past. The trauma stops with you. The limitation ends with you. The fear dies here. And from this day forward, a new legacy begins. One built not on survival, but on supernatural strength. One fueled not by fear, but by faith. And now, as the dust settles and the fire of affliction fades behind you, you must understand this. You are stepping into a holy momentum divine, crossing over. The wilderness is behind you. The silence, the struggle, the shadows, they are no longer your portion. God is drawing a clear line in your life. A line that marks the end of confusion and the beginning of clarity. A line between who you were in the fire and who you are in the aftermath of deliverance. This isn't just about being rescued, it's about being revealed. Because the fire did more than test you, it uncovered you. It burned away what was false, it stripped off what was weak. And what remains is pure, refined, ready. You've been made new, and what God restores, He reassigns. You are not returning to where you were. You are rising into who you were always meant to be. God has built a foundation beneath your painon you couldn't see while you were weeping, but one that's been holding you steady all along. That foundation is faith. Not the shallow kind that shouts on the mountain, but falls apart in the valley. No, this is deep faith, gritty faith, weathered faith, the kind that can't be shaken because it was born in the storm. And now that faith is about to produce fruit, God didn't just preserve you to survive, He preserved you so that through you, others would find hope. There is a purpose to this recovery, a mission on the other side of this miracle. He didn't bring you out to hide you. He brought you out to shine through you. You are no longer hidden. Heaven is calling you visible. You are no longer overlooked. God is putting a spotlight on what He's done in your life, not so you can boast in yourself, but so you can boast in Him alone. What's next will require boldness, not arrogance, but holy boldness. The kind that comes from knowing God is the one who opened the door, and if He opened it, no man can shut it. You don't need to explain this season to those who weren't with you in the last one. You don't need validation from voices that didn't encourage you when you were down. God is your validation. His presence is your approval. His favor is your evidence. So walk forward not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. The same God who brought you out is going ahead of you now. And every step you take in obedience is a declaration that your tough time is over and your time of overflow has begun. And don't be surprised when restoration comes from places you never expected. Don't limit how God moves. What you lost in years, He can return in moments. What you thought was gone forever, He can resurrect with a single word. He is not bound by human timelines. He does not operate on earthly logic. One touch from God can shift decades of damage. One decision in the Spirit can reverse a lifetime of pain, and that is what He is doing right now. You may not see the full picture, but you can sense it. You feel the atmosphere around you starting to change. You feel the weight on your shoulders beginning to lift. That's the sound of breakthrough. That's the sound of chains falling. That's the sound of heaven leaning in with favor. This is the season where you will not have to chase what God has already assigned to you. You don't have to strive for what is already yours. You simply need to stand. Stand in truth. Stand in obedience. Stand in faith. The tough time may have taught you to survive, but this new season is going to teach you to thrive. And thriving in God's presence means living without fear of the next battle, without waiting for the next disappointment. It means you begin to breathe with ease again. You laugh again, not nervously, but freely. You love again, not cautiously, but fully. That's what God is giving back to you, life, and life more abundantly. There is a holy wind blowing now. Can you feel it? It is carrying you forward. You are not walking alone. You are not hoping blindly. You are moving in the rhythm of God's promise. And that promise is that He will complete what He started, that He will uphold you with His hand, that He will lead you into green pastures, even if all you've known are valleys. The ground may still be wet with your tears, but flowers are blooming from the soil. Joy is rising from your sorrow. Peace is being poured into every cracked place of your spirit. God is turning mourning into dancing, not in theory, but in truth. Your life is about to sing a new songone, not written by pain, but by promise. So lift up your head, straighten your spine, roll your shoulders back, and stand tall. not because of pride, but because of confidence in the one who never failed you. If he brought you out, it's because he's not done showing off his power in your life. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are favored, chosen, called. And your assignment didn't end in the fire. It began there. This is not the end of your story. It's the start of a new volume, and every page from this point forward will be marked by evidence of God's hand. The tough time was real, but the breakthrough is even more real. It has weight, it has glory, and it has your name on it. You are walking out of the fire, not empty-handed, but carrying the spoils of victory. You're stepping out not as a victim, but as a vessel. God is about to display through you what endurance produces. He's about to make a public spectacle of the enemy's failure. The very trial that was meant to take you out has become the proof that God still delivers, that he still reigns, that he still lifts the lowly and exalts the humble. Your life will be a banner that shouts to the world, God still speaks, God still heals, God still answers prayer. You've been quiet long enough. Now it's time to testify not with mere words, but with the undeniable evidence of a life transformed. And now, as you stand at the threshold of a divine turning point, let this truth settle deep within your spirit. God has declared the end of your tough time, and heaven has responded. What was meant to break you has only made you bolder. What tried to silence you has only strengthened your voice. The season of suffering has fulfilled its purpose, and now, by the authority of God's word, you are being released into restoration. This is not just relief, it is redemption. It is not just escape, it is elevation. You're not walking out empty. You are walking out wiser, stronger, filled with clarity, and clothed in glory. Look back only to see how far God has brought you. Look forward knowing that what lies ahead carries divine backing. The doors opening before you are not by chance, they are assignments. The peace filling your heart is not temporary, it is eternal. You will no longer walk in survival mode. You will walk in sacred purpose. God is not just changing your circumstances, he is changing you. This is your time to rise, not in your strength, but in the full assurance that God has gone before you. What was hard will become your testimony. What was heavy will now feel light in the presence of the Almighty. The battle is over. The new season has begun. God has spoken, and it is so.